So, guys, first of all, thanks for joining. My name is Amit, and I guess uh, I selected you for first batch of people, probably 7 or 8 people that I selected for this one because of some common interest here between you person. I think all of you guys are graduated, right? If I'm not wrong, from masters in US and so forth. So, can you guys give a quick introduction from Guru Prasad? Can you go first? He is okay. Anas, you can go first then.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
My name is Anas Ben Hamad.
Uh-huh.
I'm from Morocco,
Uh-huh.
but I already have automotive engineering diploma from Morocco, and
Uh-huh.
I came here to the US for a master science in mechanical engineering in Mississippi State University.
Great. Shivam, can you go next?
Hi, I'm from India. I did my bachelor's from back in India in 2014, and in from 2014 to 2017, I did my master's in aerospace engineering from Queen Mary University of London.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I'm working as a freelance design and simulation engineer, and either I'm looking for any industrial opportunity or for any PhD positions.
Okay. Surya, can you go next?
Yeah.
Which university you are in, Shivam? Where you graduated from?
Queen Mary University of London.
Okay, got it. Surya, can you go next?
Yeah, my name is Jay Surya. So
Uh-huh.
I'm in my master's in ASU or mechanical engineering. I'll be graduating in December actually, not
Awesome.
in. So I joined in Jan 2019. I worked in Telmax for 1 year. After that, I joined in ASU as a mechanical engineer.
Okay, okay. Apurva, can you go next?
So I did my BS from IAC in Material Science in 2019,
Uh-huh.
and I will be finishing my MS this year. I don't know when that is.
Right,
It
right.
should be in August. It's in
Correct.
Material Science again.
Okay, got it.
Both are from IAC.
Okay, and you are at ISU right now.
No, I'm at home. We were sent back home.
Okay, sent back home. Okay, got it. Deepika, can you unmute yourself and
Yeah, hi Amit.
yeah. And your video is off too. I don't know why.
Actually, my phone was broken, so front camera doesn't work properly.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay. That's
Yeah. So I did my BTech from a state college in from India,
uh-huh.
and now I'm pursuing my MTech from one of the new IITs in India. But
Okay.
I was looking for more opportunities and what is going on, so I joined for this webinar.
Sure. And Guru, can you go ahead?
Yes. So I did my bachelor's in chemical engineering in Tamil Nadu,
Uh-huh.
in a college affiliated to Anna University,
Mm-hmm.
and then I came up. I took a year off where I worked for a little time in process safety,
Mm-hmm.
and then I joined my master's program here in the University of Florida, and I'm looking for jobs in the semiconductor industry, and I've kind of tweaked my coursework in such a way it will help me get those jobs. But I'm just a little concerned about the current situation and how the market would be like in a year from now.
Sure.
So that's why.
So, okay. So I think there are 4 or 5 people here who are in US. So I'm going to address some of those questions, and then Apurva and Deepika, I'm going to address some of your questions also. I think these questions also some might address you some of the questions that if your guys are thinking of coming to US for PhD or so forth, right? So I will probably try to answer that. So couple of things that I have asked. It's a very similar question, and it applies all of you guys. So as of now, my advice to anybody who is completing their masters, and if they are thinking of graduating in August or in December 2020, my advice is if they are looking for a job as of now, as you guys know, it's not a right time or not a right situation to find a job. So my advice for them has been is make sure if you can delay your graduation in their way, most of her after election, that would be best if it's possible. Because That is the one thing, and this is the short-term thing I'm talking about. If it is possible for you guys to do it, if you can delay your OPT, if it's anyway, if you're looking for a job, do that. Number two is also keep that in mind that the immigration situation that is going on within US could be a bigger problem for you as you as you move forward. So what I mean by that is, let's say if you are looking to stay in US for a longer term, and this applies only for people who are originally from India, not from NS for you. It doesn't apply that much for you. Is if you're looking for that situation to stay in India, so to stay in US as a master's student for a longer term, immigration would be a biggest hurdle for you guys moving forward. Okay, so keep that in your mind. I just today I had 2 counseling sessions with the students. One of them has lost a job, went back home, and has lost a job again in India because of the COVID. So what I'm trying to tell you is, right now, the age group you guys are in, you will be okay if you had a job failure or if you get laid off from a job. But let's say if you spend 10 years down the road here, if you get into that situation, it could be trouble. From immigration point of view, getting a green card as a master's student from India is a dream as of now. So that means you will always be in mercy of an employer, whether with your H-1B visa and so forth. Not so much as a PhD. If you are a PhD student, things are a little bit different. For ANS, for you, I would say you are a master's student. Whenever you are thinking of completing it, and if you are thinking of staying in US, go talk to an immigration lawyer as soon as possible.
Why exactly?
Yeah, because if you, as he said, if you are trying to stay in US, if you're thinking of staying in US, graduation, you will graduate, but in your case, you have a chance that you can go through NIW category, which will help you to get your green card much sooner. So do that. Talk to immigration lawyer. Don't wait. Okay. If you're, as I said, if you're trying to stay here.
Yeah.
For other folks, my advice is, again, it's what your situation is here right now is, when are you trying to graduate? Make sure, be aware of opportunities that are back in India too. Make sure you apply to those opportunities back in India too, because trust me, there are a lot of students who are going back home, who are graduating now, a lot of them. And there are also students that I speak in India, and I'm going to talk to Apurva and Deepika separately, who are having a tough time in finding a job. So what they're going to do? So think of that scenario also. The other thing guys can do, if it's possible, my advice is, if you say, okay, you know how much time this situation is going to take off before we can able to find a job. I can give you an example. When I graduated in 2009, 2010, if you guys remember 2008, the housing market crashed. It was difficult for me also to find a job, and I finished my PhD and I was looking for a job. It was extremely difficult. So, and it took almost 2-3 years to get better, to get the market better, to find a job and so forth. And I'm not talking about, so here's the thing. If you guys have a background in manufacturing engineering, okay, it would be easier a little bit. But again, you need an H-1 visa. Not many companies who are manufacturing based are sponsoring it. If you have a background or area of an area like computer science, data analytics, or so forth, things could be easy, because still there are companies like Amazon, like companies like that, who are able to hire those people. And I have seen in LinkedIn, there are people who are getting hired in those companies. And if you are thinking in that direction, my advice to you will be is to pursue some courses in that area, to do some courses that will help you to get into those companies and so forth. Because there are very few companies who are really hiring. Trust me, there are very few companies. And if you are gonna go and you find a job which really suits you, which you really like, and if you apply for that job, what it asks you, do you need a sponsorship, right? And that's where that's where the biggest hurdle is. And I have gone through those hurdles in my career too, not now, but when I was a student. So that is the biggest problem. Okay, that's for a long-term thinking, I'm saying. Just keep that in mind. But how can you keep yourself engaged right now, especially in this COVID situation and things like that? If money is a problem, you say, I can't spend money doing another master's and so forth. I would say go to some of the courses that are being offered by LinkedIn or Coursera and so forth. Try to get some certification, try to get engaged so that your CV gets populated, that you have that sort of a skill set other than what you are learning in school and so forth. Let me give you a couple of examples. So for Ines, let me give an example. I had a student from Egypt that I spoke to. He was graduating from his master's degree from Iowa State, and he was telling me the same problem. Or there is one student I talked from Nigeria, 2 days back actually. And my advice to them was exactly the same thing, that I don't think it would be difficult for them to stay here, but first thing first, go and check your immigration status, because you have an advantage right now compared to people who are coming from other places like China, India, Mexico, that they are having with them immigration problem. Okay, so you are in a little better situation that, but my advice, as I said, go and talk to immigration lawyer as soon as possible. For other folks, and especially for Deepika and for Apurva, I don't know what is your scenario, what you guys are thinking, but getting into a PhD program, if this is what you thought of doing it or you would like to do it, would not be a bad idea. Do it, because anyway, trust me, anyway, looking for a job at this point of time is not going to help you. Is you especially, Apurva, in your case, you have done your bachelor's and master's from IC, you said, right?
Yes.
I would say definitely, if I was you, I will apply for a PhD program in a good institution.
PhD is my plan.
Yeah, if that's your plan, go for it. Because the reason I'm telling you, because 5 years down the road, let's say if you do your PhD, let's say either from India, okay, or let's say you do your PhD from outside. Let's say if you do PhD from India, and if you are able to do from IC, I don't see you a problem getting into a faculty position in some IITs and so forth. I think it's a very good possibility, to be honest, if that is what you are thinking. Especially with COVID thing, a lot of people are talking about, study in India, stay in India, things like that now. And I have many friends. I have few friends who are professor in IITs. I have a couple of friends who are professor in ICs. Which department are you in?
Materials engineering.
Professor Jairam.
Yeah, Vikram Jairam. Yes.
Yeah, I know him very well. Say my hello to him. I have invited him a lot of time over here, actually, in a couple of seminars. I know him very well. I sent him an email a couple of months back. We had some program that we wanted to do with IC. But what I'm trying to tell you, that it would be extremely, extremely helpful to you, that if you're going to do that and stay there and go move on, you have a clear shot to get into a good program or good institution and become a professor in India. Trust me. Let's say you take another path. You said, let's say I decide to go to US and do my PhD and so forth, right? That could be another possibility. But as I said, these days, when I graduated from IIT and I came to US, that was 15 years back almost, right? The situation was different, but right now I see a lot of people who are doing their PhDs and so forth, or even professors coming to conferences outside and so forth. So things are way better now. And if you don't have this, so let me give you an idea. If you get into a program, in Ivy Leagues or a top A grade universities in US, come and join. Okay. If you get into a BC university in US, trust me, staying in IC would be a better choice.
Okay.
Especially if you like it. Just don't come because you want to come to US. Don't do that, because you can always come for conferences. You can always come for things like that, right? And as you said, if you are working with a professor like Jairam or Praveen is there too, right?
I'm working with Praveen, yes.
Oh, you're working. So Praveen knows me much better. I have met him a lot of times. So yeah, if
With
you're working
Praveen
with
Kumar or Praveen C. Ramamurthy?
Praveen Kumar.
Okay, no, not with him. Other Praveen.
Yeah. I know Praveen Kumar very well. So, but what I'm saying that all these folks are amazing. So, you know, you can, and they do type of research they do is just a very good research and so forth. So you can trust them. And as I said, if you get into MIT, Stanford, of course, but if you get into University of Kentucky, let's say, I'm giving an example, and the professor is amazing, then it's a separate story. But if you just get into that university with a fellowship, trust me, I won't do that. Yeah, either get into good university or don't do that. And and the other thing for other folks, I would say there are a couple of other examples. See, this webinar, the reason I gave it to you is I want to just get an idea that if you need much more in-depth one-on-one counseling, I can probably speak to you separately, but depends on your interest. So Apurva, I would definitely want to speak with you. So send me an email.
Yes,
yeah. So send me an email separately and I will arrange a separate one-on-one counseling session with you, okay?
Yes.
But for other folks, I would definitely advise you one thing, send me your CV. I have a couple of leads from recruiters who, especially for guys who are looking for jobs, send me your CV with a subject line, job search or something, so that I can send those to a couple of recruiters. If you are willing to work, there's another thing I want to tell you. If you are willing to work for a PhD program, or if you're interested in it, that's the other way. So here's another example I would tell you guys who are in US. Let's say your job search doesn't work out, your OPT gets expired. What is plan B, right? So plan B would be something that could be, can I go back to school? Can I go back to India? And as I said, I spoke to a lot of students who says, I have a loan, I really can't go back. Or I came here, I always want to do a PhD, but I thought I would do a job first. But they always have this desire to do PhD or some other thing. This is the time that you would do it. This is the time where you explore yourself. Trust me. So here's the thing for all those students who are looking for jobs in US. If you have already applied for your OPT, or if you are going to apply for your OPT, because remember, as a master's student, you're going to get OPT only one time. And that has also a limitation. So let's say if you do another master's, you're not going to get OPT. Let's say you go to an MBA program. No, you're not going to get another OPT. If you're going to go for a PhD program, then only you can get an OPT. So let's say the scenario here is, if you always have this desire to speak to someone and you want to talk to someone and say, no, I always want to do a PhD and things like that. And what should I do? My advice would be is, if you have always that in back of your mind, this is the time to go for it. Trust me, because then you will have 4 years of the time of the leverage that you guys will use it. And probably this COVID need another 3-4 years of the time when everything is okay. And you will be then ready. That's one way to do it. So as I said, if you are looking for a PhD program, if you are interested in it, I don't know how long you can wait. Send me your CV. Tell me that you probably will be interested in at one point of time or so forth, because a lot of what is happening right now, let me tell you a very amazing situation is, a lot of people, a lot of professors who wants to hire students are not able to hire now, because nobody can come from India, or nobody can come from France, nobody can come from UK. And what there is going on is, a lot of students who are not able to find a job or are in masters, and I have recommended them, and I have got that, they took my advice, they went back to school, they joined a PhD program. So that has happened. And it was easy for them to get admission into a PhD program in a good university, because as I said, because the supply is limited right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So just make sure that, and whatever I have told you is just not my scenario. This is the thing, or this is the data that I have calculated, speaking hundreds and hundreds of students so far. Okay, so if they are having this issue, or if they are following these advices, or they are going through these scenarios, I would say probably down the road you will be into this similar situation. There's another thing I want to tell you, which is just you have to remember, and this is just, as I said, again, the data I've calculated. A lot of people are saying the unemployment is coming up now, the unemployment rate is going down, and the jobs market is going up. See, what's happened is when the COVID hit, a lot of restaurants got shut, hotels got shut, event web management got shut. All those people got laid off, and things when opened up, restaurants got open. So the jobs who are coming back are mostly blue collar jobs. 2 weeks back, Boeing has laid off a lot of people. GE has laid off a lot of people. Those jobs aren't coming back. And those are the jobs which engineers or anybody will thrive. So you need to understand that if I lose my job tomorrow, that job is not coming back. It's very difficult to get a job which is, if you lose a job, a white collar job, what we say. So I'm not sure if somebody tells you that in December the situation is going to be fine. I'm not sure about that, because again, I'm talking about the white collar jobs here, which we are looking for. Okay, so those jobs takes time. A company who just laid off 5,000 people are not going to hire those 5,000 people back again after 2 months or 3 months. It doesn't happen. A restaurants can. They will come back. So, just assess those situations and make best out of it. My idea, as I said, my idea here is to help you guys to educate what's going on. And you are a bunch of people who are in this situation. And I can tell you, everybody sitting at home is in this situation who has graduated, especially international students who completed their masters. Because one thing everybody is doing right now is wake up in the morning, probably drink a tea or coffee and sit on a computer and keep applying for jobs. Everybody is doing it. And they, for example, they ask me sometimes, or there's another thing I want to tell you. They say, we have this skill set, can we apply for that job or this job and so forth. Make sure that if you're looking for a job, those jobs are eligible for international students. Just don't keep applying because there is a job opening there. Don't drain yourself. And if you look for a job requirement, let's say you apply, your background is in the area of data analytics or manufacturing engineering or whatever, mechanical engineering. If you look for a job, your CV should be able to answer those questions. It's very, as a hiring manager, it's very difficult sometimes to look for 2 CVs and say, I can't figure out what the difference is. It's a same format, same CV. So try to figure it out. As I try to see how my CV can look different for this position which I'm applying. Just don't have a CV and keep applying. It doesn't work that way, trust me. If you see a job, if you see those basic qualification, if you see that it says a required qualification, your CV should be able to answer that, all those questions. Let's say it says 2 years of job experience in the area of MATLAB, 3 years of experience in the area of design, and so your CV should be able to answer those questions. That going to maximize your chances rather than having a CV and just uploading it to every job. And as I said to many people again and again, having 4, 5, 6 CVs is okay. You can't have just one CV for one job, one CV for all the jobs. So let's say if you are trained as a mechanical engineer, that could be one CV. Let's say you think that you have done a lot of work in the area of design, that could be another CV. Let's say you have experience in the area of computer simulation or data analytics, that could be another CV. That's okay. Okay. Okay, I think I have spoken a lot, but if you guys have any questions, 1 or 2, just shoot it to me. And as I said, send me your CV. I will try to help you guys out as much as I can by posting it, by sending it to recruiters and so forth. And again, thanks for joining, you guys. Yeah, so go ahead. Enes, you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said that we could defer our masters for some time, which would be ideal. I was thinking, is it better to do a project assistantship and then apply for a PhD, or apply directly for a PhD?
It depends on if you're in ISC, if you decide to do your PhD at ISC, I would say to join it direct. But I am not a big fan of if somebody is saying join online program at Harvard, or I mean these days that's what they're doing, right? Online. But I don't know. I mean, in one way or other, it may work because it's not a master's program; it's a PhD program. So you can finish your coursework online because anyway you're not going to go to lab and work, right? So you can say, okay, let me finish my coursework in one year. Next year, I'm going to go and join it. So, and Apurva, as I said, I'm going to talk to you separately. So send me an email. I will answer your in-depth question. Yeah, Shivam, you had a question?
Yeah, actually, I have a two-part question.
Yeah, go ahead.
My first question is it true that industries prefer any bachelor's student instead of master's or PhD when they hire? And second thing is, for example, if we are thinking about going for a PhD opportunity, so like what are the possibilities of getting into industry after completion of PhD? Because I don't want to stick to like any postdoc or in academia.
So here's the thing, Shivam. As an international student, the immigration challenges will always be there. It will remain the same. There will be no difference because you have to apply for, the company has to apply for the H-1B visa no matter what. Okay, that's number one. Number two, let's say you become a subject expert. Okay, and a company has a requirement for a subject expert, you will definitely get preference. One thing I want to tell you all, you guys, one thing. See, whatever you're gonna be doing or whatever you're gonna achieve in your life, wherever you are, is based on what you know. Because there are a lot of homeless people who are US citizens. There are a lot of homeless people who are Indian citizen in India and US are not able to find jobs. So number one is the only way you will get a job is what you are. The immigration is just a barrier. Okay, so your chances of getting a green card as a PhD student get better. That's what I'm saying. So I can give you from my example, I'm telling you that. And I have friends who have masters who are still struggling it. Again, it all does not apply to NS, but that's what the situation is. So your chances will get better. But again, immigration would be a hurdle. You have to go through that. But as a master's, if you apply for a green card, 30 years. As a PhD student, if you apply for a green card, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. That's what the situation is as of now, and that's what it looks like is going to be in near future, because they are saying that the H1 is going to based on merit now, not based on lottery. So what does that mean? That means people who have higher qualification will get better chances. Just keep that in mind. There is a lot of uncertainty, but that's where everything is going. Actually, the whole green card thing has moved into that scenario. If you have a merit, you get it. That's why I said PhD, better chances. STEM education, better chances. Not even MBA, not even an MBA. STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I have one question.
Yeah.
So I just